So now we have composite functions, or the composition of functions, and that's when we can put functions within other functions. And it's usually written pretty, this is a pretty good way of writing this, where you can see that the g is inside of the f. So you can take 4x minus 5, and then you can, wherever you see an x, you can input, because this is with the input. So you input a g. So here's my x. Instead, I'm going to input a 2x squared. So your input is your g, and your f is just your function that you're inputting g into. So another way to write this is like this. It looks like it says fog, but this is f of g. So g is still the input. It's the one that's in the closest to the inside there. And so we're going to take g and put it into f. And so we have, again, I'm just rewriting this. I just wrote it. That is f, and we put in an input of a 2x squared. Maybe we'll do that in a different color. So that is our input. And then you just have to simplify it. So 4 times 2 is 8. There's the x squared minus 5. So f of g of x is 8x squared minus 5. And then we can input whatever number it asks us for. Now we're going to take g, and we're going to input f. And so we often write gof, g of f of x. Either way, f is the one closest to the x here. That's the input. So you take g, and you're going to square, and then whatever your x is, you're going to put in your input. And the input here is f. So we're going to put f into here. 4x minus 5. So you started with g, and you put an input there. And so we need to actually expand this, or FOIL. So 4x minus 5 times 4x minus 5. So I'm going to FOIL this part here. So it's 16x squared minus 20x minus 20x plus 25. And then you can, I'm going to kind of try to go back this way here, multiply the 2 in. So 32x squared. This right here is going to become a minus 40, and you times it by 2, which will become a minus 80x. And then 2 times 25 is 50. So this is our new function, our composite function. And I'll just box this here. And so that is it. And we can take any input we want, and we can just throw it in. Now, other times you can write FOF. So you're taking f and you're putting it back into f. So you can take 4, and then there's your x minus 5, and you can input the f, which is a 4x minus 5. So you input 4x minus 5 into the 4x minus 5. So 4 times 4 is 16x minus 20, and there's still that minus 5 there. So you get 16x minus 25. And then there's this one, g of f of g. So sometimes it's nice just to do, let's just work with that part. So f of g. So let's just ignore this part kind of for a moment. So let's just write f of g of x. So that is take f, 4x minus 5, and input g. And I forgot what g was. G was 2x squared. 2x squared. So you end up getting 4 times 2 is 8, and then an x squared minus 5. So that is 8x squared minus 5 is all of this. So now we can take g. Now g, now I'm actually going to do all of this. I'm just going to write down the title, kind of the question again. So now you're going to start with, this is our input we have right here. So you can start with g. Now g is 2x squared, and then for your x, you're going to have this input, 8x squared minus 5. So you have 2x squared, and then you input it, you have an input of 8x squared minus 5. So that's going to require me, and this is why this is the most difficult one, because it requires the most amount of work. you had to input a 2x squared into this 4x minus 5, and then that became your new input that we put into g. And that requires us to do some FOILing, some expanding. So 8 times 8 is going to be 64 times x to the 4 minus 40x squared minus 40x squared plus 25. And then we can times this by 2. So 64 times 2 is 128 x to the 4. Now negative 40 and negative 40 is negative 80. And then times that by 2 is negative 160 x squared. And then the plus 25. So that is the that's that question. By the way, you can rewrite this this question if you wanted to. Just write in the same order: g of and then f of g of x. That's the other way to write this. So you put g into f, and then you put all of that into g. So I'll zoom out here. The PDF might look a little bit nicer for you, but you can do whatever you want. And we will evaluate. This is part of it. Okay, so never mind. I'm going to keep going here because we've already done it. Now it just wants us to evaluate them at 1. So I already have 8x squared, so you can just put in a 1 into this. So a 1 squared is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. So that is our output. For this one, you've got 32, 1 squared minus 80 times 1 plus 50. So that's 1 squared is 1 times 32 is still 32 minus the 80 plus the 50. So 32 and 50, 82 minus 80 is just a 2. And then we already did f of f. You got this. So let's input a 2 into here. So 16 times 2 is 32 minus the 25, which should get you 7. And lastly, oh, look at this mess. Okay, so we have 128 and then 2 to the power of 4 minus 160, 2 squared plus 25. So this is 128. Now 2 to the 4 is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, minus 160, 2 squared is 4, plus 125. So I know, sorry, just 25. So that's just a 25. 16 doubled is 32, doubled is 64. So I think this is 640. And then I have no idea what 128 times 16 is. So we can do that off to the side. 6 times 8 is 48. 12, 16, 6 plus the 1 is 7. And then 1, 2, 8. So 8, 14, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2. So 2048. So you might be wondering, why am I such a doofus? Well, because I forgot that 2 times 25 is 50. So I will make that correction here. Plus 50, which means these are just 50. Plus 50, plus 50, plus 50. Anyways, now I have to put all of these together, and I do not want to do that here. I'm just going to go to the answer, which is right here, 1458, which you should probably already have, but I was right, 2048, 640, 50, and so you get 1458. So 1458. So sorry about the error up there. You're probably wondering why on earth he didn't say 50 there. I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to go back and change that. So take a look at the PDF if you want something nicer, but otherwise the next video will pick up with example number 3.